The hidden puppet strings, how social media controls your mind. Had if I told you that every time you open Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or Twitter, you are being manipulated, not just influenced, not just advertised to, but psychologically controlled in ways you don't even realize. Every like, every notification, every perfectly timed ad is part of a system designed to shape your emotions, your beliefs, and even your behavior. And here's the scariest part, it's working. Most people think they use social media for entertainment, connection, and information. But in reality, social media uses you. It hijacks your attention. It alters the way you think and feel. It keeps you addicted, so you never stop scrolling. And none of this is an accident. Tech companies have spent billions of dollars studying human psychology, so they know exactly how to manipulate your brain chemistry. So the real question is, are you in control of your social media use, or is social media controlling you? In this series, we will expose the hidden psychological tricks that keep you hooked, how social media manipulates your emotions without you realizing it, the science of dopamine addiction, and why scrolling feels impossible to stop, why social media changes your identity, self-worth, and even your beliefs, and most importantly, how to break free. But first, let me ask you this. When was the last time you opened social media and actually felt better afterward? If you can't remember, you're about to find out why. The dopamine trap, why you can't stop scrolling. Have you ever opened social media just to check one thing, and suddenly an hour disappears? You didn't plan to waste time. You told yourself, just 5 minutes. But then, you kept scrolling. Why? Because social media isn't just something you use. It's something that uses you. And it does this by hacking your brain's reward system, using dopamine, anticipation, and habit loops to keep you hooked. The science of addiction, how dopamine controls your behavior. To understand why social media is so addictive, we need to talk about dopamine. Dopamine is often called the pleasure chemical, but that's not quite right. It's not what makes you happy. Dopamine is the chemical that makes you crave something. It's what makes you want to check your phone, want to refresh your feed, want to see more likes. Here's how social media exploits this brain chemistry. Variable rewards, the slot machine effect. Imagine pulling the lever on a slot machine. Sometimes you win money. Sometimes you win nothing. But you keep playing because you don't know what's coming next. Social media works exactly the same way. Every time you refresh your feed, you don't know what you'll get. Maybe it's a funny meme. Maybe it's a viral video. Maybe it's a boring post. Every time you check your notifications, you don't know what's waiting. Maybe you got 50 likes. Maybe none. Maybe a DM. This unpredictability triggers dopamine, forcing you to keep checking over and over. And the worst part, your brain gets hooked on the chase. Why likes feel like drugs? Studies show that getting a like on social media activates the same brain pathways as cocaine. When you post a picture, you anticipate social approval. When people like it, your brain releases dopamine. You feel validated, but the high fades fast. So what do? You post again. And just like that, you're trapped in the cycle. The phantom vibration syndrome, proof you're addicted. Ever felt your phone buzz, only to check it and realize there was no notification at all? That's called phantom vibration syndrome. It happens when your brain is so conditioned to expect notifications that it starts imagining them. That's how powerful social media's influence is. It literally rewires your nervous system to keep you addicted. Why you can't just stop scrolling. Let's say you want to take a break from social media. It should be easy, right? But then, you feel restless. You pick up your phone without thinking. You convince yourself, I'll just check one thing. This is called withdrawal. Just like any addiction, quitting social media causes discomfort because your brain has learned to depend on it for dopamine. And tech companies know this. How your brain becomes a product. If you're wondering why social media companies want you addicted, the answer is simple. You are not the customer. You are the product. Social media platforms don't make money from users. They make money from advertisers. The longer you stay on their app, the more ads they can show you. The more they influence your thoughts, the more products they can sell. They profit from your addiction. They profit from your emotions. They profit from your data. And the worst part, they don't want you to stop. The real question, are you still in control? If you've ever said, I should use social media less, but couldn't stop. If you've ever thought, I'm just checking for a second, but lost an hour. Then you need to ask yourself, are you using social media? Or is social media using you? And if it's controlling your time, your habits, and your emotions, what else is it controlling? The identity trap, how social media rewires your self-worth. By now, you understand that social media isn't just something you use, it's something that uses you. But what if I told you that it doesn't just control your attention? It controls how you see yourself. It's not just about making you scroll. It's not just about making you click. It's about making you question who you are. Because the real power of social media isn't addiction. It's manipulation. Why social media turns your life into a performance. Carl Jung believed that every person has two selves. The true self, who you really are beneath all the masks. The persona, the version of yourself that you present to the world. Social media destroys the balance between these two. Why? Because on social media, you don't post your worst days. You don't share your failures. You don't show your struggles. You curate your life. You filter out the bad. You present the best version of yourself. And in doing so, you create a digital persona. One that is more attractive, more successful, more exciting than your real self. And over time, you start believing that you need to live up to that persona. Social media turns life into a constant performance. And the pressure is exhausting. The comparison trap, why you'll never feel good enough. Let's say you wake up, open Instagram, and start scrolling. What do you see? Perfect bodies, luxury vacations, endless success. You're in bed feeling tired, and suddenly you feel less than. This is social comparison, one of the most destructive psychological effects of social media. Studies show that people who spend more time on social media report lower self-esteem. Constant exposure to idealized images causes depression and anxiety. The more you compare yourself, the worse you feel. And here's the most terrifying part. It doesn't matter if the images are fake. Your brain doesn't analyze. It just reacts. You see perfection, and you feel inadequate. And social media thrives on this feeling. Because when you feel inadequate, you post more, engage more, buy more. The worse you feel, the more valuable you are to the platform. How social media redefines beauty and success. In the past, society had realistic beauty standards. Today, social media has warped our perception of what's real. Filters make people look flawless. AI-generated perfection raises expectations. Plastic surgery is rising because people want to look like their own selfies. And this isn't just about beauty. It's about success, wealth, relationships, and happiness. Social media manufactures unrealistic lifestyles. The 20-year-old millionaire entrepreneur. The couple that never argues. The hustler who never stops working. And deep down, you start to think, why isn't my life like this? You start chasing an illusion. And you don't even realize it's happening. The psychological toll. Why social media increases depression and anxiety. Multiple studies confirm that excessive social media use leads to higher rates of depression, increased anxiety, lower life satisfaction. Why? Because social media warps your sense of reality. It makes you believe that everyone else is happier than you. It makes you think that your life is boring. It convinces you that if you're not constantly achieving, you're failing. But here's the truth. Social media isn't real. What you see is a highlight reel, not real life. But your brain can't tell the difference. And that's why people spiral into self-doubt. Why you can't escape the emotional manipulation of engagement. If social media makes people feel bad, why don't they just stop using it? Because these platforms are designed to keep you emotionally invested. They make you feel like you belong. They make you fear missing out. They keep you addicted to validation. The final question, who are you without social media? Here's a question to ask yourself. If you stopped posting today, who would you be? If there were no likes, no comments, no followers, would you still know your worth? Because the most dangerous trick social media pulls is this. It makes you forget that your value exists outside of a screen. And if you don't realize that, you will let an algorithm define your identity. But what happens when someone wakes up from this illusion? The ultimate manipulation. How social media controls your thoughts. By now, you know that social media isn't just a tool. It's a system designed to control your emotions, your identity, and your self-worth. But what if I told you it goes even further? What if social media wasn't just influencing how you feel, but actually shaping what you believe? This is where the true power of social media lies. Not in entertainment, not in connection, but in controlling the way you think. The algorithm knows you better than you do. Most people believe they control what they see online. But the truth is, you don't choose what you see. The algorithm chooses for you. It decides which posts show up first. It decides which news you read. It decides which opinions you hear. And here's the terrifying part. It doesn't just show you what you like. It shapes what you like. How the algorithm traps you in an information bubble. Ever notice that the more you click on something, the more of it you see? This is called the filter bubble, and it's one of the most powerful manipulation tools in existence. If you engage with fitness content, your feed will be filled with gym routines and diets that if you watch political videos, your feed will show you more extreme versions of those views that if you interact with negative content, the algorithm will keep feeding you negativity. And the scariest part, the longer you stay in this bubble, the more your beliefs shift. You don't even realize it's happening. Your worldview isn't expanding. It's being shaped by an algorithm designed to keep you engaged. The outrage machine. Why social media profits from anger. Social media companies don't care if you're informed. They care if you're engaged. And studies show that the emotion that keeps people online the longest is anger. That's why news feeds prioritize controversial posts. The comment sections are filled with rage and arguments. Viral content is designed to make you react emotionally, not think critically. Social media thrives on division. It turns complex issues into us versus them. It pushes people into ideological extremes. It makes everything feel urgent and emotional. And when you're constantly angry, constantly emotional, constantly reacting, you're easier to control. The psychological manipulation of trends. Ever notice how certain phrases, beliefs, and opinions spread like wildfire? This isn't random. It's psychological conditioning. If you hear something enough times, you start believing it. If enough people say it, you assume it must be true. If you go against the trend, you feel isolated and pressured to conform. This is how social media engineers cultural shifts in record time. One day, nobody is talking about an issue. The next day, everyone believes it's the most important thing in the world. And if you don't agree, you risk being labeled, attacked, or excluded. So people stop questioning. They stop thinking for themselves. They accept what's trending because it's easier than standing alone. Why you always feel like you're falling behind. Social media manufactures urgency. It makes you feel like you need to keep up. It makes you believe that if you're not constantly informed, you're out of touch. It makes you think that the world is moving too fast and you're being left behind. And this leads to chronic anxiety. Because no matter how much you consume, it's never enough. There's always more news, more drama, more content. And the second you stop scrolling, you feel like you're missing something. The final question, who is controlling your mind? Right now, you might be wondering, how many of my beliefs were actually chosen by me? Because if social media controls what you see, if it controls what you engage with, if it controls how you react, then how much of your worldview has been shaped by an algorithm? And if you aren't in control of what you believe, who is? Breaking Free, How to Reclaim Your Mind. You can't escape social media, but you can take back control. Step 1. Question everything you see. Next time you react to something, pause. Are you feeling this way because of facts? Or are you feeling this way because social media made you? Step 2. Get information from multiple sources. If you only get your news from one platform, you are being manipulated. Read different viewpoints. Challenge your own beliefs. Think for yourself. Step 3. Limit your time online. The less time you spend on social media, the more control you regain. Use it as a tool, not a way of life. Set strict time limits. Unfollow content that manipulates your emotions. Step 4. Remember, the world is bigger than social media. Outside of your screen, life is less extreme, less dramatic, less overwhelming. Social media makes everything feel urgent and chaotic. But in reality, you are in control of your own mind. Final thoughts. The truth about social media manipulation. Social media is not free. You pay for it with your attention, your emotions, and your beliefs. It doesn't just influence what you do. It shapes who you are. But the moment you start questioning, the illusion starts to break. And once you see the game, you can never unsee it. What to watch next? If this opened your eyes, you need to see what's next. Because social media is just one layer of digital manipulation. In our next video, we expose how digital marketing and AI algorithms don't just track your behavior, they predict your next move before you even make it. So if you're ready to go even deeper, watch now, because social media is shaping the future. The real question is, will you let it shape you?